UCLA.
With USC great and NFL stud, Frostee Rucker.
The Trojans back in front.
And LAFB founder Ryan Dyrud on the Bleav Podcast Network and LAFBnetwork.com. This is your destination for Los Angeles football.
What's up, Los Angeles, and welcome into another great edition of the Bleav In LA Football podcast here on the Bleav Podcast Network, also on LAFBnetwork.com, your destination for all your favorite Los Angeles football teams. Coming at you on a Thursday. Frostee, my man, what's going on?
Yeah, not too much. What up, Ryan? I see the beers are shining in the back. LA, what's going on? Was popping, as I usually say. Let's lock in and get this one rolling.
Absolutely. Yeah, got a good show. Finally going to have some UCLA and USC talk as both teams kick off this Saturday. Finally. Cannot wait. Rams are on a bye. We'll touch on it quickly, what we think they need to improve on. And then Chargers play another one of your former teams, now the Las Vegas Raiders. So we'll end with a little preview of that game. So it should be fun. So today's episode of Bleav In LA Football is brought to you, of course, by betonline.ag. College football is here now, like I said, so that just means more games to bet on. Plenty of prop bets, lines, who's going to win, is a Pac-12 team going to play in the playoff, all that and more at betonline.ag. So head there today. If you haven't signed up, they have great sign-up bonuses. If you are signed up, keep going back. Hopefully you're winning money.
I'm going to place a bet. That SC is going to go to the playoffs, and that splits our in LA.
To the playoff. Okay. I like that. I'm telling you.
I do.
I said last episode that this weekend, Clemson, Notre Dame play. That's a 1 and a 4. One of them's got to lose. As long as these top teams start falling down, SC can work their way up, even though they have a light schedule. That being said, did you see, I don't even know if you saw, I might be hitting you this, but the Washington Cal game canceled already?
Already? No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I guess someone on Cal got COVID, and so they said they couldn't man a competitive team. So they canceled the game. This happened like 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope it was a quarterback, not in the wrong way, but I hope it was a player like that if they're going to cancel at all.
Right? Yeah. Bizarre. So that's not a good look, though, but hopefully that's not a preview of what's to come. I don't think it will be. It was I saw that and was just kind of like shocked. Like what? Especially it literally said one player, not like the offensive line or I don't know. I don't know all the details on it, but we don't have to. It's not our game. Doesn't matter to us. So, but we're going to do something fun for the show today for our USC segment. And Frostee, I want you preview it and talk about it. You are starting a new show. We've been promoting it here on the show, also on LAFBnetwork.com. The IG is live. The show is Take Back the West. You have an interview on there that we're just going to host on here. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, man. So me and another buddy of mine, Will Poole, he played at SC with me. He's a national champion, played the 2003 Rose Bowl. I think he had 2 sacks. That's 2 more than I had, and I was a defensive end, and he was a corner in that national championship versus Michigan. Went on to play in the NFL for a number of years, back in L.A. We feel so passionate about SC and what's going on in and out of the program. So we decided to, take the lead and go ahead and make the best show out there for USC sports. So we're live. Go check us out on Instagram at Take Back the West Podcast and enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fun show. I'm helping produce it. Love to be involved in it, and we're going to have it right on LAFBnetwork.com also, so super easy to find. Same as this show, everywhere you listen to podcasts, it will be Take Back the West. Frostee still being on this show. That'll just be the SC-specific show with some great exclusive interviews, but we'll be able to have the chance to kind of do this, have both interviews or have interviews on both shows, which is what we're doing today. So you had a few days ago on your show, he now coaches with Arizona State, who the Trojans play. He is the DB coach, correct? Chris Hawkins?
Yeah, Chris Hawkins. He came on. Many of you guys know him or familiar with him. He was a 3-time captain at USC, which is kind of unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a stellar career, a lot of leadership skills, very mature for his age, and he's already a defensive back coach at the age of 24.
Yeah,
so,
impressive.
Coach Helton hired him. He stayed around the program. Learned the ins and outs on the coaching side of it, and now he got a promotion, and he's all the way in Tempe, Arizona, coaching against USC in this first game, and it will be in the Coliseum. So we
Yeah.
dove all the way into it and talked about what it's going to be like going down the tunnel and, his experiences and what he's given to that team. So tune into that first episode. It's pretty good.
Welcome back, Coach. He was the graduate assistant last year. Had, I would say, a really big influence on these DBs, specifically Elijah Griffin, who's one of the tops in the country now, and we're expecting to have a great year for the Trojans. So, but I'll stop talking about it. Let's get in, listen to your guys' interview. Will Poole, Frostee Rucker, Coach Chris Hawkins. Hope you guys enjoy.
So here we are. This is Frostee Rucker with Take Back the West podcast. I got my guy, Uncle Will's son. He's back and ready to go. We want to invite this next guy. You know him. He's your guy. It's Coach Hawk that's on the Zoom call, but you know him as Chris Hawkins. What's going on, Coach?
Not much, man. Just trying to get ready for this, our first game of the year, big time game against, very familiar with the USC Trojans.
COVID and all that stuff. Is your family good? Where's everyone at? Did they make the trip to Arizona, or are you out there solo dolo?
Yeah, I'm out here solo. Everybody's pretty healthy, though. I know my dad had caught the sickness for a little bit, but he persevered through it. So everybody's good. My mom is healthy. His brothers and sisters, we're all good.
Okay, man. Good to hear.
Well, yeah, Coach Hawk, man. It's good to see you, brother. I mean, last time I saw you, you was just finishing up school, graduating. We was actually working out in proactive when you was preparing for the NFL. And, next thing you know, I look up and you're the DB coach over at Arizona State University.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations. And I'm definitely excited for you. I know you worked tremendously hard to get there. And, it's going to be great. I mean, this week I'm not, it is what it is. I'm a Trojan and I don't coach at ASU. So I'm not going to take it there with you, but talk me through a little bit of that, a little bit about that. Going into coaching, kind of like right after you finished graduating college, like you were coaching some of the guys that you actually like were playing football with. So like, talk us through that process.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Big Will, and right after I got done playing in 2017, we had just came off of a Cotton Bowl defeat to Ohio State. So I went straight into training to try to, ready myself for the NFL draft and pro day and the combine and everything like that. Long story short, didn't work out for me. I got picked up by the Seahawks. The whole Earl Thomas situation happened, and so I was let go. And then as soon as that was over, I kind of knew I always wanted to become a coach. So I was kind of a coach on the field when I was a player. And so it was pretty natural for me. So I had a meeting with Coach Helton. He told me a spot opens in January. So from, I want to say, May to the beginning of January, I worked in commercial real estate down in Beverly Hills at Kennedy Wilson with Bill McMorrow. Thanks for everything he's done for me. That he's a big inspiration in my life and one of the guys I look up to heavily. So as soon as that was over, I went to USC about a year and a half ago in January 2019. And we went through the year. Before the year was up in December, I was getting a call from Antonio Pierce, Herm Edwards, Marvin Lewis, as well as Prentice Gill, who was already over here, and Tony White, who's now the D coordinator at Syracuse, asking me questions about, what I do in recruiting, what I do on the field, and basically asking me would I be interested in a position as the defensive back coach at Arizona State. Obviously, at 24 years old, you're not going to turn that down. It really was nothing to talk about. So, I said yes. They made it official, and the rest is history. Right now, I'm living in the moment.
Wow, man! So you guys got a lot in common here. I see this DBs at SC, commercial real estate. I see you right when Uncle Wilson started talking, you lit up. That's your guy.
This is my guy right there, Chris Hawk. Coach Hawk. It's my guy right there.
Hey, Coach Hawk. I know when you talked to Clay about that, could you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, if another guy is coming up right now to have that conversation, how close were you with Coach Helton like that to be able to approach him like that to get a job?
Yeah, it was pretty easy for me. Coach Helton was part of the group that recruited me in high school, so I've known him since I was 16, 17 years old. So it was easy for me to do that. I was his captain. I was one of the leaders on his team for the past 2 to 3 years. And so he was a guy that I looked up to for help and vice versa. He would always come to me for situations about the team and things like that. So when it was truly time to have that talk, when I figured I probably should look into something else, it wasn't hard for me at all. I reached out to Coach Helton, shot him a text, "Can I call you?" Got on the phone. He said, "Yeah, come meet me this day." We sat down, we met. He wanted to make sure that I was fully invested and fully into it, and I didn't want to have it just part-time just to hold off for another team to call me and then I'll leave. He wanted to make sure that I was fully invested, in the program, which everybody knew I was. And it was pretty easy. He basically told me I got a spot in January.
Nice.
January got there, and it was the rest is history.
Yeah, that's what's up. Because I know a lot of guys, when they transition, trying to go to the league or out of the league or whatnot, they end up stumbling just because they don't know what to do. And I'm glad it was seamless for you to just be able to go up there and have that conversation. And we've had all these talks with people around that are Trojan fans, and they always they don't understand Coach Helton and why the players gravitate to him so much and why he's still there. Because it's like we just have a short thread for losing. Being a Trojan, we're all about championships and winning and whatnot, and everyone wants his head all the time, like he needs to go and stuff. But I keep saying it's like Coach Helton has a relationship with these guys that they stood on the table for him to make sure he's there and to be their coach, one. But you letting us know a little insight like that just means a lot that, he trusted you. You were the captain. You were a leader. Because that's the only thing I hear when, I told a couple of people I wanted to interview, they're like, he's the best. You're not gonna interview another guy that commanded the room and was a leader and a captain for multiple seasons at SC. That doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, Coach Helton is a guy I can say who really put some stability in that program, because you got to think about it. I got there with Coach Kiffin, and then his thing happened. Then it was Coach O. Then we wanted Coach O to be the head coach. His thing happened. He left. He went to LSU, and then Sark came in. His thing happened. So it was a lot of transitioning from coach to coach, and not really a lot of stability. And I think that Coach Helton put some stability in that program, and that's why even as I'm over here, I fight so hard, and for that man, he's done a great job over there, and those kids love him. I know because I've been in that locker room. So I know those kids love him, and they'll run through a brick wall for him.
Hey, Chris, that's all great points. I think Coach Helton has done a tremendous job over there as well. Take me through a little bit of the youth football in Southern California, and being 24-year-old as a defensive back coach at a Power 5 school. Arizona State, a school that your alma mater played against, a school that has a lot of kids from Southern California. Being such a guy that's in the coaching world, very young, but you just got out of college. Like, you really have a way with the guys that you're coaching and able to even connect with them a lot better than some of the older coaches.
Yeah. So over here at Arizona State, at first, I felt like it was going to be a weird dilemma because Jack Jones is over here. Mm-hmm. Now, I played with Jack Jones. I was a leader on the team with Jack Jones for 2 years. I played with him for 2 years. I was a captain his sophomore year. Yeah. He was my right corner. I was the strong safety. Yeah. And so a lot of people felt like that was going to be weird. But just me and Jack have so much respect for each other. And I respect his game and respect what he's been through in life. And he respects me and who I was as a football player, and now who I am as a coach. I knew he was one of the leaders in this room that I run now. So to me, I was told for you to grasp everybody in that room, you got to grasp the captain first,
right?
The leader first. So first thing I did when I got here, I sat down with Chase Lucas. I sat down with Jack Jones, and we came to an understanding about what I'm here for and what I'm here to help them do. And they understand that wholeheartedly. You can tell that they've never seen anything like what I'm bringing to the table with my age and with the knowledge I have of the game, because I played against these dudes.
Right.
A lot of these dudes if you were a fifth year senior, I played against you. You were a freshman when I played against you. You were a sophomore when I played against you. So they got a chance to actually see me on the field. And I always think like this. I feel like kids, especially kids, if they know you've done it, then they respect everything that you say. Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to tell a DB that you got to open and run with this receiver if you've never had to do it before.
Right. Yeah.
Being a football player is a lot of coaches have never played this game, and especially I played it in this conference and got a chance to win a Rose Bowl, got a chance to play in the Cotton Bowl, won a Pac-12 championship. So I think that the respect factor is there, and I think what we have brewing right now in my room specifically is a good thing, and I think I respect my players and they respect me wholeheartedly.
Yeah, you got the young Williams, the middle Williams.
Yeah, Big Mace.
Money Mason.
Yeah.
You tell you Mason, it haunt me to this day. I had him playing corner in the 8th grade. He was in 8th grade playing the championship game. I had him playing corner. They was going down. John David Booty Jr., Josh Booty Jr. was the quarterback.
What team was this?
This is me and Jason Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
Trojan, 8th grade team versus Josh Booty. I had Mason Williams playing corner. I took him out the game when I should have kept him in the game. They scored a touchdown. It haunts me to this day still. But yeah, you got one there. He's a good one in the room, huh?
Yeah. Big Mason doing his thing. He a young pup, but he doing his thing.
Money Mace. Yeah. That's great.
You're out there in Arizona right now. Were you happy when the Lakers won, or are you a Sun now? Talk me through that.
Hey, Frostee, don't do me like that. I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Lakers fan, baby. Don't do me like that. I'm Lakers and Cowboys over here. That's nothing more, nothing less.
Cowboys, Antoine Woods, Trojan over there, just got extended.
Big Twat, that's my dog too.
Right, shout out to Antoine Woods.
Shout out to Talker TV.
He posted the Take Back the West podcast today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he a real one for sure.
Well, Hawk, you guys go into this game full of confidence. You know, obviously I'm not going to dive too much in game plan or with your game plan or whatnot. This ain't that type of show. What are you telling these guys how to come out of that tunnel, what to expect? It's new energy there. You know, they got new coaches. You're not even there. And you're that team. So what are you telling these guys about running out of that tunnel and what it means to you?
I think first and foremost, be grateful for the opportunity you get to play this game, especially when we didn't think we were going to have an opportunity to play it this year. So you got to take every snap by snap. Don't try to get too far ahead. Don't lean on the pass or what happened. I just think that we have to do a good job of doing what we've been doing in camp. We have to do a great job of knowing our personnel and knowing who they have. And at the end of the day, this is going to be something new because we've never played a game with no fans before. We've never played a game where whatever the offense or defense is yelling, you're going to be able to hear it. That's new. So at some point, we got to bring our own energy. When we make plays, we got to bring our own energy as a team. And I'm just telling you, just enjoy the game. You're never going to have a good game if you're walking around mad, if you're walking around moping. Enjoy the game. Wins are hard to come by, especially in this conference, knowing how we beat each other up a lot. So enjoy the game, enjoy every play, and then just let the game come to you. Don't try to force nothing.
As a player, did you tell yourself the same type of stuff going into
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always had great mentor older coaches, Coach Bradford, and then Clancy Pendergast was the DC. They always instilled that in me. But at a certain point, you kind of got to tell yourself that, especially as you get older. You know, when I became a junior and senior, I didn't need nobody to tell me anything before the game. I knew exactly I knew exactly my mindset. I knew exactly what I had to tell myself to get ready. So dudes like Jack Jones and Chase Lucas, they've played over 50 games in this conference. So they know exactly what they have to do to get ready. It's more so the younger guys. You got to, instill them with confidence and make sure that they know what they're doing, going over last game plan checks and everything like that.
As a player, you played there many games at SC. Then you go and transfer into be a coach, and you're still at SC. You're still on the same sideline. Now you're on the other side. This is weird. Do you run down the tunnel or do you walk up at halftime? What do you do?
I'm a run. It's just naturally built in me. I'm a runner. Usually USC goes first. I'm gonna let them go first, and then I'm gonna run up. I can't walk up the tunnel. I got too much respect for that program, too much respect for that field.
You understand it. Trojan for life, man. Because I had to deal with the same thing. Played all those games at SC and never thought I'd have another chance to, go in a Coliseum and get down. And luckily, longevity in my career, the Rams moved back, and it was a preseason game, and I got to go in there, Will.
Yeah.
I was on the opposite side. I wasn't on the home field. You know what I mean? It was different.
Yeah.
So I still took what I knew at halftime. I had to run my ass all the way up the hill. It was still tiring. My legs got tight. But it was weird. I'm looking around. There's no traveler. It's not decked out SC. It was surreal. Now I'm in the visiting locker room. You're in the visiting locker room, Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be different. I was there once, and I think it was pink, and it was gated up. So I don't like how they treat the away team in there, man.
It'll definitely be different. You got it's good to see you though. How is it coaching with such a well-respected coach like Herm Edwards as the leader of the pack? How's that, him being a Pac-12, Pac-10 or whatever, Pac-8, DB, how's that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for me. A learning. I've been learning a lot of football.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing the difference in how I teach things and in how Herm teaches things. He's been coaching a long time. He played in his conference when it was the Pac-8 at Cal. If I'm not mistaken, he had 5 interceptions or 4 interceptions in one game. So
I'm sure he told you his stats.
Oh yeah, 38
yeah.
in the NFL. So he said he's still waiting on 39. So he's a great dude to be around. You got him, you got Marvin Lewis, as well as Antonio Pierce. So it's a great group of guys over here, and we like to have fun. We like to joke around while we're watching film. Nothing is ever super serious over here, and we just go about our day. We make sure that these kids are taken care of, and we make sure that they got the best game plan for a game that they're going to play.
Yeah, looking at it on paper, just looking at your team in general, it's predominantly a black coaching staff, and that's something that you don't see, especially in the Pac-12 and all around the country. You don't see them putting pieces together like it is there. So I know it's a special moment. I know you'll learn so much, and it's going to add a lot of value to your coaching career. And make sure you soak that in, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity to be around football minds like that, man.
Yeah, 100%. We take real pride in letting everybody know that this staff is predominantly black. We understand what kids are going through on a daily basis. I mean, I'm a kid. I'm still a kid to a certain extent. So we know what these kids are going through, whether it be racial profiling, whether it be run in with the police and everything like that. We understand everything that they're going through, and we try to do our best letting the parents know that, you got to feel good leaving your kid to somebody at the end of the day. So we let everybody know what type of staff we have, and I think we take a lot of pride in that.
That's what's up. Well, Chris, man, we don't want to keep you. I know you're game planning, man. We wanted to tell you we're proud of you.
Yes,
for life. Everyone that I've ever talked to speaks so highly of you, interviewing you. You're mature, you're poised, and best of luck this season. As far as it goes, you're always welcome on Take Back the West. You know that. You know us.
Yes, sir.
Family for life, man.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Frostee. Appreciate you, Will.
Yeah, you take care. Good game, man. Good luck.
Yes, sir. I'll see you guys on Saturday.
Nah, Will. Give it to him, Will. Give it to him.
I'll see y'all on Saturday, man. Appreciate
you. Take care, Coach.
All right, sir.
All right, cool. That was fun. I thanks for letting us put that on there, and great job, Frost. That was like one of your first hosted interviews, so well done.
One of my first hosted interviews. I'm learning from you. I tell you that all the time, on and off the record here, that you're giving me experience and confidence, and I'm very humbled to say that you're doing a great job, and thanks for leading our show.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, and yeah, picking it up good. So it's fun to watch you do all these. Quickly for our listener, I know you guys talked about the interview, but let's just talk really briefly about the game. I know you mentioned it, but this is going to be a good one, I think. Arizona State is one of the up-and-coming teams in the Pac-12. If this game was maybe the 6th game of the season, I would think Arizona State would have even a better chance of winning this game. I personally like SC just with everyone that's coming back. They still have a lot of the same coaches, a lot of new coaches, but they have like kind of the forefront in place. But how do you feel? This is your team going into this COVID-7, as you like to call it. How are you feeling about this game specifically?
So going into this COVID-7 series of a season, you see that? I'm good. I like SC. I like SC just because they only had, I think, 3 people graduate off that team, and they have the whole team back. New coaches are exactly what they needed. They had more time to gel and get their coaching plan together due to COVID. They weren't so much involved hands-on with the players, but like across the country, I feel like the education of the game got installed in these guys that much more. ASU is not to be taken lightly. To me, it's SC, Oregon, and ASU as the 3 top dogs in this Pac-12. And luckily for SC, they don't have to play Oregon because they, as of late, have had our number. But they get to play ASU, and that's always going to be a heated rivalry. They have a great coaching staff. They got great players at every position. They got speed. They got power. They really match up versus SC a lot, and they have a lot of LA guys. So it's going to be a true test, but getting this one out of the gate for SC, this can propel them to whatever they wanted to do once it started.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that you mentioned, because there's always been a little rivalry, obviously, between these 2 teams. But I would say even more so as of late, just because how many LA kids are going to Arizona State over, say, USC or even UCLA, who we'll get to here in a minute. But that seems to be the hotbed of where the recruiting is stemming from, and these kids are choosing ASU over USC, and hopefully that changes with another interview you did with Dante Williams, one of the best recruiters in the nation, but hopefully we start seeing those kids stay here. But I think that's why this rivalry is growing more, because it's kids that played each other in high school, and now they're playing each other at the college level too. They're not teammates.
Yeah, and some of it becomes so special of a game because, like you said, some kids chose not to come here, but a lot of them didn't have that opportunity. No matter if SC's having a bad year, it's still SC, and they want to be a Trojan. And a lot of those guys did not get those calls, or they did not get recruited, and they play with a chip on their shoulder. So thankfully this one's in LA, and we don't have to deal with any weather issues and some heat spell that can come through the valley and the desert. We got them right at home. It'll be bright and early, and I am truly excited for this opener.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast, and I am excited to see the quarterback matchup. Last thing I'll mention it's kind of interesting. They're both sophomores. You have Keaton Slovis from the Phoenix area, from the Arizona area, starting for the Trojans. You have Jaden Daniels from Cajon High School in San Bernardino County out here in California. So flip-flop, playing against each other for their respective teams. And Jaden Daniels had a very promising freshman season. It was probably overshadowed because of how great Keaton Slovis did. And this is, I've said all along, #Slovis season. I'm so excited to see how he does. But that's the matchup. There's a ton of good matchups, but that's the one that's going to be highlighted, and the one I can't wait to watch and see these 2 quarterbacks go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, I think ultimately it boils down to me is just the coaching. I feel like the player-wise, it's a little even at each skill position across the board. I think receivers and corners match up on both sides of the ball. Running backs and backers line up really well. And up front with the big fatties, they line up well too. It's going to come down to coaching. SC has won in the past, and the coaching, if you're looking from outside in, hasn't been as stellar, hasn't been as impressive. And now they got new energy at the defensive line. They got new energy at the quarterback positions, and a new defensive coordinator and special teams. So with those things right there, I want to see a more crisp, dominant football game at a SC, and it just makes it all that better for me when I stack these 2 teams up as they face off.
Yeah, going to be fun. And it's the thing I'm kind of most excited for, it's a 9 a.m. game. It's not a Pac-12 after dark. We get I know it's early for us Angelinos, but at least the rest of the country can actually watch the game for once. Big noon kickoff.
You got to get you a Pop-Tart and get ready to rock. You know?
Pop-Tart and a beer. That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
Not the players, right?
Yeah, not the players, of course. Yeah, speaking of beer, obviously Golden Road sponsoring the show. They don't have a USC or UCLA beer. I don't know if that's even allowed, considering it's a collegiate program, so probably not something they can sponsor. But hey, if you're old enough to drink, you can drink something else. We got the Rams House, we got the Bolt Up, or you can do a mango cart, or they got plenty of stuff. So check out Golden Road. You can go to LAFBnetwork.com, go to our locker room, and you can purchase it right there. That easy. So should be a good one. 9 a.m. kickoff, like I said. Can't wait. Fight on. Go Trojans. But now let's shift to the other LA team. And Frostee, we haven't had to talk about it a lot, so this is going to be a fun segment to talk about. UCLA travels to Colorado to play the Buffaloes. It's a 4 p.m. kickoff. Coming into this game, obviously there's a lot of unknown, but one would say these are probably two of the lesser teams in the Pac-12 and specifically the Pac-12 South.
Both these teams are the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to the Pac-12. This is a prove-it year for Chip Kelly, obviously going into this one. Hasn't won enough games for me. The team doesn't play as enthused and energetic as one would hope for being at UCLA. Colorado, I feel the complete same about. They've had such coaching carousel the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing consistent. They haven't played any dominant football. They'll win a scary one. They'll, every once in a while they'll take someone to the end of the game or something. But besides that, they need a foundation set. And hopefully whoever wins this game, it does build their program back to get some better recruits and, just change the foundation of what they got going on. Because as these programs roll, UCLA should be a lot more dominant and competitive than they are. And, as a Trojan, I feel the same as USC. So I have high hopes, but when I'm looking at these two teams, they do need to do a lot better. They got a new AD at UCLA. Mm-hmm. They got a new AD at Colorado. Yeah. So, we got to see what's going on. Hopefully they just play well and have something to build on.
Yeah. Both these teams are similar looking programs. Obviously, Colorado has a brand new head coach. I'll get into that in a second, but just where they're kind of at right now as a football program, they're in similar situations. You mentioned the new AD, Martin Jarmond here in UCLA, who I thought was a great hire. I think he's going to be really good, but obviously Chip Kelly's not his coach. So Chip Kelly needs to prove that he's worth not only staying there, but getting re-signed for the long term, or whether they want to go a different direction. What I like about this game and this matchup, and one of the positives, if any, that came out of this whole COVID-7 thing, is the last 2 years, UCLA has started their seasons playing Cincinnati home and away and Oklahoma home and away, which were both losses, both top 25 teams in the country. UCLA is just not there yet. So when you start off not only 0-2, but you get your doors blown off by Oklahoma both times because they're a perennial top 5 team, it's hard to rebound your season after coming like that. So I think playing a team like Colorado that's in a similar situation, it's already a Pac-12 game and a must win. They're pretty evenly matched. UCLA beat Colorado last year, which gave them a little run starting where they started, they were in that conversation of potentially winning the Pac-12 South because of how they were doing in the conference. And that started at Colorado. So they haven't won in Colorado in 2 years. So they're going to want to change that, obviously. But then the coach at Colorado, Carl Durrell, you might know him well. He coached at UCLA when you were at USC. So he obviously has something to say. He was probably thought he was wrongly fired at UCLA, who he had a good tenure there somewhat other than playing USC, but they fired him for Rick Neuheisel, which seemed more like a higher up saying as soon as Neuheisel was available, that's who they wanted, who ironically coached at Colorado also, kind of a weird path and tree there. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, and I think it's a put up or shut up game for not only Chip Kelly, but DTR, the quarterback.
Yeah, both these programs have bruised egos, It's just time for DTR to show up and shut up guys like Corey Paz and guys out there that aren't giving him his fair shake. The only way to do that, DTR, is go out there and play lights out. You got the ability. If coach puts you out there with that starting unit, you got to move the ball down the field and show your worth, because you want haters when you're playing sports. But at the same time, you got to prove the haters wrong, and that's by just executing and playing up to your ability. And that ultimately, I think, is what Corey Paz was trying to say our last episode. Mm-hmm. He said it in a roundabout way. He is a Bruin, but he wants to see you play up to your expectations.
Oh yeah, yeah. And here's the first say he's coming right back on when you prove him wrong. So let's hope that happens. And I have a buddy in the UCLA organization who I talked to just yesterday, and he said this just seems like a different DTR. Just his mentality, his way he's carrying himself this season. He just seems like a more mature, ready to go. This is the season to show why he was so highly recruited and why the team was so excited about him when he came from Bishop Gorman over to UCLA to start for this team. So hopefully we see it on the field because the talent's there, Frostee. I don't know how, when we've talked before, you probably don't watch a ton of UCLA. That's going to change this year, obviously, but the talent is there. He has those plays where you're like, that's a good quarterback. And then he just does other ones when you're like, what was that? So it's stringing those together consistently, which he can do. And if he does, this is going to be a dark horse UCLA team. I'm going to say it right now on the first game of the season, a dark horse. I don't think they're as good as USC. I'll put that out there in the universe. They're not as good as USC. I don't think they're as good as ASU, but they can certainly compete for that third spot in the Pac-12 South and a Pac-12 North conference that's a little down this year. They can certainly play for a good bowl game and have a good season. And they're going to need to for Chip to stick around.
Well, that's what it's all about. I'm positive. I'm not the biggest UCLA fan just because I'm a Trojan.
Yeah, rightfully so.
But I'm here to support our local teams, and UCLA is one of them. I hope DTR does go out there and shut up all the haters because that means his stock goes up, and we never know what has gone into his seasons. If his confidence has been low, if he's had injuries that we don't know about, he's playing through them. But regardless of any of that, the coaches and the school has supported him, and he's been their quarterback. And it's just time for him to make plays. Yeah,
and he has probably the best receiving core he's had since his time being there. This is a really, really good unit. Kyle Phillips is so underrated, potentially going for a Biletnikoff. I don't know if he'll get there. That might be a little bit of a reach, but he has a talent to do so. Really good. They have some good recruits coming in. And they have a lot of returning guys, and obviously Demetric Felton, who goes both ways, playing running back and receiver, who we had on the show. Great young kid that I think is going to have a great year too. The offensive line is a lot more experienced. They did lose one of their tackles who transferred to Baylor when the season wasn't happening, so that's a kind of big loss. But they have a more mature. Last year they had like 4 starting freshmen on the offensive line. It's very hard to come back from. Now they're all a little more mature. They got some good guys there. So improved unit. And I didn't even talk about the defense for us. Let's talk about it quick. They got some returning guys coming back that I think hopefully we'll see some improvement as well.
When we're looking at this team, we have to look on both sides. You got to look at the total package, or you can say all 3 phases really. Defense, they got a lot of guys coming back. I think 10 of their top tacklers are coming back. But to say that, they weren't very good at tackling. SC put 50 on them. So let's just call spade a spade, right? Yeah. So these guys have time to come back. They had enough time to look at the film and correct the film. And it's just really going to be, scheme and attitude. Yep. They got to have an attitude sense about them to, and to come back and fight. And, I'm rooting for these guys. On the offensive side of the ball, I didn't go into this. We talked earlier, and I said it's Chip Kelly's prove-it season, right? So he has Felton. I would like to see how many times he can try to get that young man the ball game.
Absolutely.
He could be the marquee player of that offense. We all know what he's about. He's explosive. He can go the distance. All he needs is a crease. And I would love to see him emerge as, I would say this earlier, as a Heisman favorite just off of him skillfully playing football. And Chip Kelly has the ability to dial it up on offense to make that happen. So that's where the pressure comes from. Don't mismanage that young guy's talent.
If he's used correctly, and he can get the ball in his hands 20-plus times a game, whether that's the ground or through the air. Here's a hot take. I really think this kid can be a first-round pick at the next level. I think he's that good, especially the way the NFL is going with players like Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, KJ Hamler, all these fast, speedy guys. I think he can be a first-round pick or a high second-round pick, but he's got to get the ball in his hands. And there was times last year when he would have 2 touches. And you're like, what are you doing? I know they had Joshua Kelly, who was their starting running back, and they moved Felton 2 running backs. He was technically behind him. But when you have a guy that's good, just get the ball in his hands and let him go to work. And he's going to be DTR's best friend. And that's how you can solve some of those mistakes in the past, is by having that outlet there. So I like this game, Frostee. I think just the fact that Colorado has a brand new quarterback, brand new head coach, with all the offseason stuff with COVID, it's going to be hard for them to get on the same page. It's going to take a few games. So this is to me, a must win for UCLA out of the gate. They everything's in their corner. They have so many returning starters, the same scheme, same quarterback, all this stuff. This is a must win. And I think they get the job done.
I'm with you on that. I think UCLA should pull this one out. DTR plays big, shuts up the haters, builds some confidence. Just hope that confidence lasts the whole season.
Absolutely. See, that wasn't so bad. Here we go. There's our first UCLA preview of the year. I think you did great.
Keep going.
So, all right. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Like I said, 4 p.m. kickoff at Folsom Field. Obviously, no fans, so we will look for that. I think it's on Fox Sports, but I don't know. We'll let you know in the link where the actual game is, but it should be a fun one. So, excited for Pac-12 football to be back. Hopefully, we go 2-0 in that realm. But now let's transition to our pro teams. The Rams are on a bye, so they can't lose this week. They have a lot of things that they need to improve on. We touched on them a lot last episode after the tough loss to the Dolphins. So for us, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. We got 4 teams we cover, which I love, but we don't need to drag stuff out that much. So give me one thing on this bye week besides resting and getting healthy that you think the Rams most need to work on.
It's got to be the offensive side of the ball. I think this team has been carried by the defense, and I think besides rest and recouping their bodies, offense has to put points on the board and give this defense a chance. If they put points on the board and the defense has a little lead to protect, they can go out there and get sacks. They can go out there and cause some havoc. But when the offense turns over the ball and it's the opposite, everyone's not going to be throwing the ball. And your best skill for players are up front, I would say, for the Rams. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of them that are very skillful on your team that are up front. And I think they need the opportunity to be able to showcase their skills, and offense has to do that. It's Jared Goff's chance to prove something. To me, he's the one that's been the letdown for that offensive side of the ball. If it's him or McVay, we don't know which has been the issue here, but it needs to be figured out. And I'm going to go with that. It's Goff because he never jumps off the paper of playing just so phenomenal. He plays average, wins the ball game. That's his MO. But from now on, this team needs him to push the ball. His salary dictates it, and his position on this team dictates him playing better.
Yeah, it does. And they'll have the Seattle Seahawks when they come off the bye in probably a must-win at this point. You got to win all those division games when you're already falling back in a very, very good division. I know there's 7 teams going to the playoffs, but you can't fall too far behind with even the last place team having a winning record. I think they're even right now because the Niners lost again. So I think they're 4-4. But yeah, a must-win game. So they take this bye week, rest up, get your mind right. I want to see this. I'll take it even further on the offense because, the defense, I think, has played great. Brandon said the defense they're top 5 in the league. They played real well. On the offense, the offensive line is top 5 in the league. The biggest question mark was the defense and the offensive line, and those are both units that are playing the best, not only of the team, but top 5 in the league. And the areas that we knew were going to be good, receiving core, passing game, the rushing game, are the ones that have been super inconsistent. So for me, it's getting just consistency. That's what they got to work on this bye week, consistency, and also that 3-headed rushing attack, have it actually be a 3-headed rushing attack. We keep talking about a 3-headed attack, it ends up being a 1-man attack or a 2-man attack, or that we haven't seen all 3 guys used as we thought they would be used coming out of camp. And so hopefully they'll take this bye week to really address that and get all on the same page. And I think they will. I think McVay is going to be fired up. Goff's going to be fired up to prove that the Dolphins game was an outlier and not the norm. But until they prove it, it's not an outlier until they prove it wrong. So we'll see what they do. Should be interesting. But yeah, hopefully they got a good bye week. What was that?
I agree.
Yeah. So, all right, good bye week for them. But now, final team of the LA Football Podcast, the Los Angeles Chargers. We went into Anthony Lynn. We went into the coaching staff. I stand by what we said. I don't think he's the problem. You got to look at the defense. Gus Bradley, that. We want to move on from that now. There's games we played. They play your former team, now the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'll be excited to talk to you about this one because the Raiders have looked pretty good, man. 4-3. Derek Carr's playing really well. Josh Jacobs is the real deal. They have a talented receiving core with Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow, and they got some guys in free agency. Nelson Aguilar is playing way better with the Raiders than he did ever for Philadelphia. So what's your just initial thoughts coming into this game for the Chargers as they face a really well-coached and good Raiders team?
Well, I think the Chargers, after losing that heartbreaker, are going to play a competitive game. Let's be real. When we look at what's going on with this Chargers team, they always play a competitive 3/4 of the game.
Yeah.
At least we want to say a half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raiders are known for having a fast start also and being competitive. Teams do come back. Defense does take lapses and puts them in a tough bind. I think this weekend I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one. And I think they have all the pieces to make mismatches on either side of the ball. I think tight end position, the Raiders are better with Whaler. I think quarterback position is even. I'm going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I think receiver-wise, the Chargers could be even, but the Raiders are going to have to take this one because they have players at each position. They got players that can stretch the field, players that make every catch underneath. And the running back position, I'm going to have to go with the Raiders also. I feel like Josh Jacobs is the real deal, like you said. Ever since they drafted him, he's done nothing but impress me. Great balance, great explosiveness, runs through contact, wants the contact, and he's a punishing back. And
yeah,
I just like the Raiders in this one.
Yeah, and it'd be a different story, I think, if Austin Eckler was going to be in this game. But as far as I know, he's still on IR. So when you look at the combination of, Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson, who played great against the Broncos, Tremaine Prope, who was a revelation for the Chargers, played well, but you still got to lean Josh Jacobs, who probably a top 5, for sure, top 10 back right now in the game, just the way the punishing runner, how many carries he's able to get and whatnot. So tough matchup. But the thing with the Raiders is I think they've just been inconsistent this year. We've seen them, they beat the Chiefs, one of the only team to beat the Chiefs, the only loss, looked great, but then they get blown out by the Patriots, who are 2-5. They get blown out by Tampa Bay, who Tampa Bay is a good team, but the Chargers played, I think, much better against Tampa Bay than the Raiders. And you can't compare teams playing to other teams. It's obviously every game is different, but the Raiders have just looked inconsistent. And it's like, which Raiders are we going to get? When they're playing at the top level, they're a very good football team, a very scary football team that isn't really getting a lot of credit, but they have a winning record. You mentioned Derek Carr, who's playing great. Him and Justin Herbert are almost identical in stats. I know Carr has one more game played, so everyone say, oh, well, pendulum goes way towards Herbert. But it's just the offense is different, right? The Raiders' offense is different. They're not asking Carr to carry the team right now, and he's not having to because they have a great running game. But for me, Frostee, this is what it's going to come down to. The Raiders' offensive line has been having issues. I think, a bunch of them were in the COVID protocol for a while. Trent Brown is dealing with injuries. Their big tackle signing. So the offensive line has been banged up, whether it be injury or COVID. And so this is a chance for the Chargers' defensive line to make a statement after disappearing in the fourth quarter last week. They looked great all 3 quarters. They were in Locke's face. It seemed like every single play. Bosa goes out with a concussion, and the pass rush kind of disappeared. So this is an opportunity for, if Bosa plays, for Uchenna Nwosu, for Melvin Ingram, for Big Linval Joseph, Jerry Tillery, all these guys to say, we're not going to just play 3 quarters. We're here for all 4 quarters. And if your offensive line is banged up, this is a chance for us to prove that and really get after Carr and Josh Jacobs.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I feel like it does come down if Bosa plays. I would feel more stronger if Bosa plays because he's that dominant. He's a game changer.
Yeah.
The offensive line, with Trent being out, has played just as well with him and without him, and I think that's may end up being an issue come when the season's over. But they have played well, and you don't get the stats if they're not blocking,
Yeah.
So
it's fair.
I ultimately think this game's going to come down to both defensive coordinators. Because Bradley's been on the hot seat. We've talked about that. And Paul Gunther's been on the hot seat with the Raiders. They've been playing too inconsistent on both sides of that, on the defensive sides. And that's where the lapses really come from.
Mm-hmm.
You get leads, you're blowing leads because people are putting points on the board. And those 3 losses that the Raiders have, it's just been that. It's been defensive losses to me. Offense can't always carry everything, but defense, sometimes you do have to play better and you have to shut people out. And defense, the whole season has been the issue with the Chargers.
Yeah.
And they haven't figured it out one time.
Yeah. Let's stick with the defense for the Raiders. And I don't know how much and how much, because I'll be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Raiders football. Just, we cover a lot of teams here, so got to be focused on that. So I don't know if you have either. So if you haven't, just tell me, you haven't seen it. But we talked in the very beginning, one of your first episodes on this show, you talked about your love for Max Crosby, who is a great draft pick, a mid-round pick who dude can play, flat out rush the quarterback. How in general have you seen is this Raiders pass rush? Because that's another concern. Obviously, I thought the Chargers offensive line, finally Brian Bulaga was back. They plugged some guys in. Toner played right guard off the practice squad, played great. They played well, but on paper, this Raiders pass rush is pretty good. How have they actually looked, have you noticed throughout the season?
They look good. They do. They look strong. They got their coach well up front. Rob Marielli. He's a world-renowned, known defensive coach.
Long-time Cowboys.
Yeah, he's got those guys playing at a high level, which is good. The thing they got to get a little bit more out of Colin Farrell in the last year they played the Chargers. I think he went off for maybe 2 or 3 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one player that we have to watch out for. He's the top 5 pick that they had out of Clemson.
Yep.
And we have to take notice of that. It's not a bad matchup, especially because it's a conference game.
Yeah.
It's just the defensive side of the ball for both teams have had major letdowns and setbacks. So hopefully we see a more challenge game, a more lower scored game because the defense is.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to, is which defense is going to show up, and not just show up, because the Chargers defense, it seems like every week shows up for a half and looks great. And then whether it's scheme, whether it's tired, whether it's the offense figures out Gus Bradley's system, which we kind of tend to lean towards that, or whether it's guys just not making tackles and making plays. So it's who's going to play a full 60 minutes. We continue, I think, pick our teams, and we always say we don't want to sound like a homer. I think you said right in the beginning you like the Raiders in this game. I think they just overall look like a better team. I'm going to go with the Chargers simply because Anthony Lynn, I think, has too much pride, and his players, I think, like him too much to lose another game, which would internally, I think, put him even on the hotter seat. He's already on a hot seat. If you lose this other game, another division game, I just don't know how you come back from that. Even if we don't think he's the problem, it's a put up or shut up league. It's a production league. And if they lose another one and fall to 2-6, when we talk about that episode, they have a stretch here where they can climb back into things a little bit, especially if this thing passes and we can see 8 teams in the playoffs. This season's not done yet, but it might end on Sunday if they lose to the Raiders. So just for that reason, I'm going to go with the Chargers.
They're going to play better, and I hope they do get a win. You know, I have no real ties. I'm not getting paid by the Raiders. I'm just a Raider fan because I was there. And but hey, I hope they do come out here and finish the game. They need to really finish the game versus a very good team. And this is a good team that will come in as very dangerous, that the Raiders team can make a run at this if they play on a good side of the ball. So let's just see. I'm still treading my final vote to say Anthony Lynn's on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't. If they lose this, he has to be very competitive, and it has to be a nail biter. And if they get blown out, then it's a different story.
Yeah, and they need to. If they lose, they need to lose because the Raiders beat them, not because they beat themselves and lost, which seems to be the theme in these lost games. Is it's hard to say they beat themselves because they've lost to some good teams, and the Broncos' record's not good, but they're a solid team, well-coached team as well, and they just played better in that second half. So, but if they lose another one like that, that's when we'll really continue this conversation. But if they lose just a good game where the Raiders just are the better team, then I think that's the way it goes sometimes. But I like the Chargers. I think they're going to bounce back. I do. We haven't given a lot of credit to Derek Carr, and he deserves a lot more because he's having a great season. He's just quietly putting up great numbers and 2 interceptions, so he's not turning the ball over, which he never really has in his career.
Yeah,
it's kind of
Carr just has to win, dude. He just has to win. He has to get in the playoffs and make some noise, and that's going to solidify him to get all the haters off. Because he puts up numbers, he plays well, he's been playing well. He's one of Gruden's, I'm sure, favorite quarterbacks of all time, and that's saying a lot just because his work ethic and how he goes about his business. I've been there and I've seen it.
How is he in the locker room?
Great. He's phenomenal. Every person loves him. Everyone in the building is going to love him. He won't be outworked. He's that type of guy. He's the few guys I could say that would beat me to work every day.
That's great. Yeah, he's one guy when
real early.
Sweat check, right? He's in that sweat check early.
I'm telling you, he's a different guy. He just has to have the group that he has at receiver. They got to stay healthy, and I think this team can make a run from it.
I think, they're proving that this year. I remember when he signed that big contract, and this was before I was doing this, so I was strictly just a Bronco fan. But I remember thinking, man, I can't stand the Raiders, but there doesn't seem like a better guy than Derek Carr. Like, I would love for him to be my quarterback. Just seems like an awesome dude, a great player, and he's had a good career. He just needs to win when it counts. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately it's a team sport, but you got to make one more play, DC. That's what it's going to come down to. Running for a first down, making that toss, and, football, a lot of it's luck.
Yep. Yeah, And the same can be said for Justin Herbert, who looks great in the stat sheet, but it's 1-5. So time for him to get another win in his belt. So should be a good game. You're taking the Raiders. I think I take the Chargers to squeak one out. It's always a great game, Chargers and Raiders. It'll be at SoFi. No fans, unfortunately, because that'd be a fun one, the first one. A lot of people think the LA Raiders are bigger than the LA Chargers in far fanhood, which maybe is the case for now, but I think it's changing. I think the guard's changing, and we'll see that continue to grow out, especially with the arrival of Herbert here in LA. So, well, there you have it. I think that was a great 4-team preview show, the first one we've done all year. So I had fun. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We are everywhere you listen. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, all the above. You can find us on LAFB Network. Frostee is at The Organic Frost on the socials. I am Ryan, Dyrud LAFB. Make sure to check out Take Back the West podcast. It's Take Back the West on Instagram. It's Take Back the West wherever you find podcasts, or just go to LAFBnetwork.com and go into podcasts, Take Back the West. It's right there. It's basically, we'll call it our sister show, a brother show. Whatever. It's we're all correlated doing this together. Last thing, one of our sponsors, got to talk about Collide. We're going to be on it this weekend, right, Frost? Talking football?
Yeah, we're on it. It's a group text chat.
Yeah.
I'm on a lot of group texts, but I'm willing to add one more on these Sundays if you guys are. So come on down to Collide, download it, hit us up, and let's talk football.
Yep, COLLYDE, or you can go to getcollide.com, download it there. Look for the chat rooms, Bleav In LA. Frost and I will be there, and let's talk some football this weekend. So thank you all for tuning in. This is the LA Football Podcast. Have a great weekend. Hopefully LA Football goes 3-0, or at least has a winning record, and we'll talk to everyone next week.